Hi everyone, this is Suzanne Wagner. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I am doing the numerology and the astrology for July 27th, 2020. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 20, and if you add the 2 and the 0 together, you get the number 2. Now, the number 2 is the number of negative mind and critical mind and overthinking it and allowing your mind to dictate truth rather than letting your soul guide you in the direction of what is true. So the mind is an endless maze, and the mind can make shit up like crazy and make it incredibly believable. Just recently, I was having a conversation with my own sister, and she was bringing up a trigger that happened in our childhood that had to do with our parents, didn't have to do with her or I. And it was so interesting to listen to her viewpoint of it, because while both of us had the same trigger, each of our minds had made up a different story from that event. And I sat there listening to her story, recognizing that, in all honesty, I didn't know whether my version of the story was correct or if her version of the story was correct. And so I had to look at that from the perspective that, what was the value in me creating the story the way I created the story? And what were the lessons that I have created in my lifetime, and how was that particular event a catalyst for me to really move forward in some amazing ways that really helped me grow, and how her version of the story catalyzed her into a different set of lessons and a different perspective. So I bring that up because I really think that you can't trust your mind. I mean, you can't trust what you think. You can't trust what you think is the truth. Notice how I said that. And especially right now in a world where so much is being intentionally, consciously, deceptively manipulated in order to provoke chaos. I just find more and more I choose less and less to listen to my mind. I choose less and less to value it or pay attention to what it is that I think. And when people get overly attached to a situation, using my sisters and my story comparison, I had worked through those issues when I was in my 20s, and I have no trigger on it. I still know the event, but I don't have a trigger on it. Here she is, she's 62 and she still has a trigger on that event. And her event might be the right event. It might be correct. And it's like, wow, how that event has carried her forward in a certain trajectory, and how the way I saw the event carried me forward in a very different trajectory. And it really makes me realize that how much is a choice as to what we do with the events that happen in our life. And, I did think sometimes we make things up in our mind in order to make ourselves the hero of a particular story. I mean, I'm definitely not the hero of the story, and neither was she, because the event was us observing another event that had nothing to do with us. But how often, when the event does include us and does affect our self-esteem, how we will make up a story in order to be the hero. So today, I would like for you to just question the stories that you have in your head. Just question them. Like I'm questioning the one that my sister and I talked about. I mean, I sat there and listened to her. I didn't interject. I didn't tell her that that was the wrong story, because maybe it's the right story. What the hell do I know? And really recognize that we are creating our reality in order to propel ourselves forward on a particular karmic line, to learn certain lessons and to experience certain choices, and to make a reason for why we are the way we are. So today, Don't allow the moods of others to infect you and pull you down. While it's the nature of high vibrating energy to fall into the low vibrations in an attempt to lift them up, it is also important to recognize when others want to pull you down to their level and cause doubt, confusion, and chaos. I have said it before, and I will say it again. What others say is an opinion based on their own perspective within their narrow reality or bubble. The choice to me is always simple. Is it kind? Is it morally correct? Is it loving? Is it compassionate? Is it accepting? Is it a choice that you can live with and not regret later? Do you think that the divine will give you angel points for your choice or an admonishment? I believe that in our core we know what it is to be good and kind. I believe everyone knows what it is to give permission for everyone to grow and evolve. Anything other than that is something that was taught to us by someone who was suffering or some situation that wounded a person, and so now they are projecting themselves and with opinions, or they are protecting themselves with opinions. The mind is not clear in deciding about the rights and freedoms of others. Your soul knows what is right, but the mind can talk you into making a bad choice. Okay, the astrology today. Monday has a Jupiter sextile Neptune in the morning, which supports the sharing of your higher spiritual vision. This is the second one out of 3 that will impact us. The third one will be on October 12th. I expect that one to pack a wallop. Take time to notice your dreams from the night before and perhaps write them down. How do you sanely moderate the extreme expressions in this lifetime? How do we, as a country, keep a sense of decorum and a sense of proportion? How can we consider our morals as more important? How can we consider our morals as more important than the opinions of others? Interesting questions. The forces right now are challenging. Venus and Jupiter quincunx and square Neptune, while the Sun also goes into a minor challenge with Neptune. So people are wrestling with our expectations and perceptions. There is a riding tide of restlessness, suffering, and hurt. Hidden toxic hate has now permission to spew out in the mouths of the infected. They intend to incite more hate and to divide our world and make our great country devolve into chaos. We cannot let such miserable people define this great country. There are minor challenges to communicating values and ideas in relationships. You want to hold off on making difficult choices until later in the week. Mercury and Mars square off in the boxing ring of impatience. Expect irritability and for others to make choices that indicate rashness and poor judgment and decision-making skills. The moon goes into Scorpio as you are sleeping around the bewitching hour, and we have a first quarter moon. More hidden layers of all situations are going to be revealed. There is going to be an unparalleled pressure building up. It is amazing to me that this horror that we are living through is what it will take to motivate us to make the obvious and necessary changes. Be prepared to notice that too many people will lack discrimination and discernment. Too many are feeling abandoned and alone. Too many are suffering in ways that they now recognize that they do not have the coping skills nor the financial wherewithal to help them navigate this new world. Disappointment is a close companion to the majority. When you make the external situations a part of your identity, you will be miserable. Examine your own discontent and identify that if you are too attached to what the external world does to make you feel better or worse, then you have been neglecting your spiritual self and need to reclaim the discipline of self-reflection. My quote for today: wounded people use opinions as shields. They are never effective because opinions have no substance in the real world. Okay, so my blog today. I was thinking about the nature of existence, and so they believe, scientists, metaphysicians, spiritual seekers, teachers, gurus, know that we basically emerged out of nothingness. And you've heard me say before that Deepak Chopra says once you get past the cells and the protons, neutrons, and electrons and quarks, there's just a whole bunch of nothing. Okay, so we're a whole bunch of nothing. And so we're somehow being held together with something, and which I think is our intention. And so we are energy. And, you know, energy never dies. It just changes form. When you emerged as a life force into this universe, you were propelled from nothing into an awakened essence. And what a moment that must have been. And what a powerful force had to exist to make you manifest in this complex world as a consciousness. You were born of sound, explosions, and movement and speed. As you emerged, you became connected to the space-time continuum. Your energy intersects with space and time, and you change it with your intentions, passions, power, desire, and dreams. Yes, your existence morphs time and space. While the change that you create might seem small in the grand scale of the universe, you still have an ability to manipulate the gravitational pulls of time and space. Really take that thought in. You believe that you are powerless in this moment historically? Nothing is further from the truth. But you do need to own that power and learn how to have more conscious control over this narrow world that you are presently residing within. There are laws and rules of space and time in this quadrant of the galaxy, and you are being asked to focus and pay attention to what it is you are creating. Hate creates consequences that you will regret later, and then karma will follow you for years, decades, and potentially lifetimes. Compassion creates a very different wave of energy that aligns, harmonizes, and coalesces energy and matter into amazing and beautiful things. But powerless, you are not. You were birthed in the greatest explosion of consciousness ever witnessed. If you can survive that, then this moment is nothing. Realize that no matter what anyone does to you in this lifetime, they cannot destroy your essence. That essence will continue to exist as a consciousness and energy even when it is not in physical form. So why be afraid? Death is a very strong illusion, a fallacy made to make you cling to life and fear the loss of that life. All things exist and then have to change. Planets and solar systems will eventually burn out and disintegrate, but the energy of those planets and energy still exist in an infinite potential that will arise in a new form eventually. It is time to own that you have power to alter this reality. When you align with others of similar intention, then a force of energy can become a wave of positive change. That is what you want. But you cannot have it if you keep doubting yourself and fear death of the old self. Death is not an ending. It is the transition from an old self into a very new and expanded self. Energy must change form. Energy must evolve and expand. Energy never dies. You are an infinite being of light. Your very existence alters the time-space continuum. Take that power and do something amazing with it. Thanks, everyone. Bye.